3, 2, 1.
Hey there, you beautiful badass. Welcome to the Keri Croft Show. I'm your host, Keri Croft, delivering you stories that get you pumped up and feeling like the unstoppable savage that you are. So grab your coffee, put on your game face, and let's do this thing, baby.
3, 2, 1.
Ready to elevate your self-care game? Boss Gal Beauty Bar is a modern med spa offering everything from cosmetic injectables, lasers and microneedling, to medical-grade facials and skincare. Conveniently located in Clintonville, Grandview, Powell, and Easton, making self-care a priority has never been easier. Use code CROFT for $25 off your first visit.
Summer's coming in hot, but is your skin summer ready? Fine lines, sun damage, melasma. If these are cramping your vibe, the Moxie Laser at Donaldson will leave you glowing. Nervous about lasering your face? I tried Moxie and it was quick and gentle, perfect for first-timers and all skin types. And my results? 10 out of 10. And if you're a first-timer at Donaldson, mention the Keri Croft Show for $100 off your Moxie treatment. Don't say I've never done anything for you.
I like the vibe already.
You know, all I'm trying to do is like get myself to like a cool status to be interviewing someone like you. I'm like, I got to up my cool game here.
I don't know. Everything I've seen, you look pretty cool. You got some pretty cool hat on there. The atmosphere looks pretty cool in the background. Got a cool jacket on. Got the bling on.
Do you really like my hat?
I do.
I made this hat. I'm going to send you one.
It's pretty cool. My wife would rock that hat.
Okay, so I'll send you one and I'll send her one.
Yeah, please do. She'd
But
love
the
that.
thing is,
She's
you
pretty
have to.
savage.
This
Hi,
is Kate.
Jeff. I'm Kate.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you.
Kate makes shit happen around here, Jeff. I just kind of
I know the routine. I know how it goes.
So I'm so excited about this.
Me too.
I mean, you're the man, the myth, the legend,
I don't know about all that.
and I'm just a little,
I'll
I'm
go
just
with
a little,
the flow.
just a little girl from Ohio over here. So we have that in common. OH, baby.
What now? Are you in Columbus?
I'm in Columbus. I'm right in Grandview, so I could throw a stone to Ohio Stadium.
Oh, I love it. Are you from
Dude.
Columbus?
I'm from Lima.
Oh, Lima, amazing. I know Lima. My first college was Bluffton, which wasn't too far from Lima, Ohio.
Dude, I used to work the deli counter in Bluffton.
Really?
Oh, fuck, I used to light Bluffton up.
It's a dry town. I remember that. So we literally
That's-
had to
Yeah.
when we wanted to drink, we had to drive to Van Wert to go get
Yeah.
booze or whatever. And
Yeah, dude. So yeah, Lima, Canton, I mean, we definitely got that going on, the Ohio roots.
no doubt about it. I love my Ohio root.
No matter where you roam, whether you become a pop star and you're living in LA, you have this really grounded sense of reality.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, I don't know what I'd be like if I came from somewhere else. I think, the way we were raised, the way we treat people, the way we grew up, I mean, it transcends anything else. So it definitely, it enables you to adapt because people think you're real, even if they have their own pretenses and they're kind of swallowed up in the whole, Hollywood scene, when they can feel that you're real and, look, I don't try to put on an act and I don't try to be something I'm not. They start to go, wow, that guy's pretty, I don't know, normal, so
Yeah.
I think it kind of sets you apart. When my original group migrated from Ohio to LA to pursue this, that's what stood out in LA. We were just regular guys. It was the grunge era. We looked like bums. We were dressed in flannels and sweatpants and boots and singing pop music. People were like, this is weird. This doesn't really fit with the scene here in Hollywood.
But we like it.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of like the white version of Bone Thugs. in a way, you got these Ohio boys.
Is that even pop? I mean, the Bone Thugs, they have their own unique style, and certainly they're, the Bone Thugs are my guys. I love those guys. I did something
Dude.
with Lazy Bone on a track. It never came out, but I love the Bone Thugs. They're from Cleveland,
Yeah, I have listened to Bone Thugs since I was 15 in my light blue Suzuki Sidekick with the white leather top. But they have like that, the Ohio roots. They go out to LA with 2 left feet. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they had something so authentic that people wanted it. And that's the similarity there between the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, and those guys are hard workers too.
Yeah.
They got with Easy, and they had a unique style and delivery that's
Mhm.
still unique. There are people that have tried to mimic it, but there's really nobody like Bone Thugs.
So you guys are like these wide-eyed, good old boys from Ohio, like those early days of like integrating into Hollywood and LA, and it's such a scene.
Yeah,
Like what was that like?
it was weird. I mean, what I really noticed when I first got to Hollywood, my brother had just graduated from Ohio State. He went to Ohio State. I didn't. He graduated from Ohio State. He was living with another guy that was an Ohio guy, and they were struggling actors. And so when I first got to California, we were in Northern California. My father had gotten transferred there, so when we made the trip cross country, we kind of camped out there until we made our way to LA for a couple of months, and then we went to LA. And what I noticed when we were getting into the scene, and all these young actors were there, and my brother was talking to some of them, and his roommate Eric, was a part of this scene. I noticed that nobody was going on auditions. All these actors were there to to be actors, but they weren't going on auditions. They were either going out to clubs, maxing out their parents' credit cards, partying all the time, or constantly just getting new headshots or going to acting class. And I'm like, those are all great things, but don't you actually have to go audition for stuff at some point? So I was like, what I noticed was our work ethic was standing out there right away. So I'm like, you know what? If we work hard enough and just keep going out there and singing live, one thing about us, we could sing a cappella anywhere. So, if we just keep singing for people, we're gonna get discovered, and we're just gonna be consistent and persistent. And that's what happened. I mean, we started getting people's attention, and they were like, "Oh, this is cool. This is different." And again, at that time, it was just grunge, just Boys to Men. There was a group called All for One, who we're dear friends with now. They were kind of coming out, but there was no Backstreet or boy band or anything like that. So, for us to go out there and be a vocal group from Ohio was kind of sticking out. So it was a little bit unique.
I was listening to an interview you were doing. I think you were talking to Bradley, which we'll get to. But you said you guys, when you first started, you like turned your back toward the crowd because you were that unsure.
Nervous. We were nervous. So
Yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned, the original group I started with were some guys that I went to high school with and just ran into at my fourth college. I was on my fourth college. I had been trying to play football and bouncing place to place. And then, I was like, I'm not going to be able to play football. I'm just not good enough. So then I went to Kent State and literally wandered into this club by myself because I didn't know anybody, and ran into some guys I went to high school with, and then went to their apartment and hung out with them. And I never went back. I had just gotten there. I never went back. My roommate hated me in the dorm. He was a Trekkie guy and thought I was a jerk and a jock and didn't want to hang out with me. So I just kind of camped out at these guys' apartment, and we started singing at a party for girls, and then, started singing together. And I was like, it just sounded good. I had some experience, but these guys weren't singers. They were all football players too. So they didn't have a whole lot of experience singing in front of people. And, we started doing karaoke everywhere. But and instead of doing karaoke songs, we would get up and sing a cappella, and the crowds would go crazy. But we were so nervous, we didn't want to face the crowd. We literally walk up on stage, grab the microphones, turn our backs to the crowd. Here, you have people, all ages drinking, and, are fearless, getting up and singing Sweet Caroline or, Suspicious Minds by Elvis. And here we're four young guys, nervous to face even them. And, at first we turned our backs to the crowd. We were singing at this club called Bumpers. And, the owner kept coming up and, guys, you guys are great. But, at some point, you got to turn around and face the crowd so they can see you. And eventually, I don't know whether it was liquid courage or not. The more beers we had, the better we thought we sounded, that we ended up having that confidence. But it was a work in progress. I mean, certainly, to your point, none of this was like just a snap in an overnight, or we were some anomaly. It was four guys with the kind of a harebrained idea. And thankfully, I ended up connecting with Nick after those guys left, although they were talented too. And, and Nick had some experience, and his brother and Justin had some experience in the performing arts space. But it wasn't it wasn't like we just walked off the plane into, Motown Records and signed a multi-million-dollar record deal and the rest was history. It was a lot of grinding, a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs for a long, long time, but we wanted to do it. We had the drive and dedication and passion and self-belief and determination to do it.
So when you say a lot of downs, and I think you've been open about sort of the mental health journey, and May happens to be Mental Health Awareness Month, which I think every month should be. Yeah. We should continue to do a better job of being open, and that's one of the things that I do on my show is just I want people to feel seen, heard, less alone, and understood in whatever lane they're in. So maybe talk about that a little bit around when you're in the thick of that and you're just getting kicked in the nuts left and right. Like, yeah, there's highs to it, right? There's girls throwing their underwear on stage or whatever the hell's going on. You're, fame, but there's got to be a lot of behind the scenes dark stuff happening. How did you handle all that like a guy from Ohio?
Well, it was hard because we didn't know what to expect. All you saw was what's on TV. I think, the only exposés you could see is when like People magazine would do a deep dive into some drama with somebody, or, at that time, I think VH1 started to have Behind the Music. So you go, oh, wow, Billy Joel got robbed. Wow, that's crazy. There wasn't like, you couldn't just Google up or go on social media and learn things behind the scenes like that. You just had to figure it out. It's going to get thrown to you. You have to learn the business. It's the music business. It's the entertainment business. It's a business. People are making money from it. It's competitive. And everybody wants to do it. I mean, everybody wants to be in a band or an actor or be famous. I don't care. People will say that, but, secretly, everybody has to, well, I used to play guitar in this local band, or, I used to do community theater. So you don't know what to expect in a highly, highly competitive and cutthroat business until you're in the thick of things. You're going, oh, okay, so I'm not making any money off of any records I sell. Oh, I got to pay back that limo you picked me up in, or those cool clothes you got me, or, that restaurant you bought us all those steaks. We pay back all that before we make anything off of our records. You don't learn that until, you're about a year into it, right? No one's going to tell you about it, right? They want you to grind and work and just get up on stage or get in the photos and perform. So, a lot of that can be overwhelming, especially when you're thrown into it so quickly. Although it wasn't an overnight success, the success did come overnight. We grinded for a while and then all of a sudden shot out of a cannon, right? Once we were on TRL and MTV embraced us and television embraced us, all of a sudden, we're the hottest thing since sliced bread. And, all these people are coming at you and you have these opportunities and this person's supposed to be on your team. Oh, well, you need a business manager. Oh, and you need a lawyer. Oh, and you need a manager. And then you need a PR firm. And then all of a sudden you have all these people on your payroll. Well, wait a second. We were just driving an RV around with our pictures on it, driving it ourselves, worrying about gas money, singing for food. And now I take care of all these people, not to mention all the people that were there kind of staking claim and how they were a part of your success, or, certain friends or family. Hey man, you got an extra couple bucks. I'm like, well, I know I'm supposed to be a millionaire. I haven't seen any paychecks yet. Maybe when I get off the road in 6 months, it'll be sitting in a bank account with this new business manager that I have, so I don't know. It just gets suddenly crazy. And it's so busy that there's no time to take a breath. Literally, like you get to a hotel and you go, well, it's midnight now, or 1 o'clock in the morning now. I got to be up at 3 o'clock to start doing interviews with people overseas. And then we're going to get in the car or the plane and go to the next venue and do the in-store. So it was a grind. There's no time to really kind of wrap your head around it. And you're depending on all these people that on your newly assembled team to be taking care of things for you. But when money starts to flow, it starts to kind of cloud people's judgment, and they may be not as qualified to do the things that they're supposed to do. So it was a bit overwhelming. And then you start to lose your identity in the process. You go, wait a second, I am from Ohio, and I'm not really this major superstar, or am I? I wanted to do it, or am I supposed to talk like this, or what are people expecting? So it's a lot for a young person. I mean, we weren't kids, we were in our early 20s, but it's a lot for anybody at any age to have to decipher. But ultimately, we had each other, which was great to kind of to learn it together and try to keep ourselves sort of a checks and balance system within our group. And then I started just reading in my spare time and meditating and trying to get myself centered so I could, not to sound corny, be mindful and self-aware. But that took a little while for me to get to that point. But you get depressed and you start to wonder if you made the right decision in your life and if it's real, and people start to change around you that you've been around your whole life, and you're not necessarily changing; they are, and because they expect you to. It was a whirlwind, and it still is that way today. You still have people coming in and coming out of your life. You've been around so many people in so many different places at this point. You can kind of intuitively read a room. Oh, that's the guy that's the loudest. That's the guy that's the quietest, or the girl that's the quietest. So she's probably the smartest. This one needs to floss. This one wants to steal. You kind of get in a little bit of this one wants to go home with you. This one's husband wants to go home with you. You start to really start to assess the room just by being around. You don't really get smart. You just kind of been around so many people. You can get a pace really quickly.
Speaking of people wanting to go home with you, I'm fascinated with that component. So I know you're married happily now, and you were married, then got divorced. So you've been locked down for quite a while. But back when you were single coming up, and you have these groupies that are just, I mean, you could have your pick of the lot, like any, and I know that probably makes it less attractive for you. So it's like my boy Tupac would say, like, I don't want it if it's that easy. But how did that work? Like, so you have like all these women like swooning, and you're like, oh, I think you're cute. Like, what was groupie life like?
It was crazy, as you can imagine. And look, and originally you go, we sang to impress. Of course, so you're a young guy. At college, we were singing to impress the girls at first. You want to impress girls. You want to have some sort of a connection with the girls, right? That's every guy at that age loves women, right? And they want to meet girls. And so when that part comes, you're like, yeah, wow, this is crazy. But it's about 30 seconds in, and you're right. It gets really boring and overwhelming and predictable and too easy. And it also, not to sound corny, but you grow up and you buy you're trying to swoon girls, or you're trying to enamor girls with you buy your girlfriend flowers or gifts, or you write them poems or write them songs, or you try to impress these girls to find your way into their hearts. And then I'm on the road, and there's married women, there's judges, teachers, you know what I mean? People that, people that have been in executive positions, that are in relationships, or girlfriends that are yelling at their husbands who are at home watching their kid while they're out at girls' night out, trying to get with you or try to get in your hotel room. It's pretty disappointing, not to sound corny, but you're like, man, this is kind of, you get to peek behind the curtain of what it's really like. And you almost wish you didn't have that opportunity. It sounds really crazy. And any guy will be like, oh, shut up, man. That must've been amazing. Of course it was, for like I said, about 30 seconds. And then, by the way, you're busy, you got a job, you're actually trying to connect with someone, at that point, someone real. So none of this stuff is real to you. It's not real because, 2 months before that, we were at, Calabasas Cantina in northern, outside of LA, and none of those girls would talk to us because we weren't famous, weren't rich, didn't have any money, weren't dressed the right way. And then, you walk in there, oh my God, they shut the place down and give you a private table and give you bottle service and surround you by the most beautiful people in there. You'd have to be an idiot to be absorbed into that and think it's real.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, that's where I feel like a lot of people probably struggle with mental health and maybe turn to addiction of some sort, because that life would feel, while it seems so glamorous, it would just feel so fake. You're like, wait, none of these people would even be around me if I didn't hit all these boxes. Like, where's Ohio? Where's the real shit happening? Like, that balance of that had to be wild and continue to be wild for you.
Yeah, it is. And it's just, ultimately at the end of the day, I have a wonderful family. My wife is amazing, but you're in this journey pretty much by yourself. You know what I mean? I'm on the road a lot. Right. And I'm very fortunate. We're in a position I don't have to be on the road like I used to. And they join me all the time, which is great. But this is an experience, even with the group, you're an individual, and everybody in their lives experience their own life with themselves. So, trying to get an understanding of the reality of it and humanity. And if you're a thinker, and a lot of entertainers are deep thinkers and overthinkers and obsessive thinkers for whatever reason, you want to find some meaning into it at some point. Of course, there are amazing perks. I wouldn't trade anything. I've gotten to do and continue to get to do, I think, things that maybe less than 1% of the people get to do. I'm about to go to the Philippines again and go to perform for 20,000 people in a different country, and tour the world and see exotic places. And they treat you like a king there. And you get to see these beautiful things and get to experience wonderful things. But ultimately, you want to share a connection with somebody at the end of the day, right? And so this stuff is cool, but it's also a job, right? It's also certainly blown out of proportion. The high highs of it and the glamour is certainly looked upon, and people covet that, and they want to be like that until you get it, and then you go, okay, now what's next? And then when you're at the top, there is no really the next. Well, you got to keep incrementally try to stay there, and it's a difficult sort of thing. But so really it's important to really get to know yourself. You need to make friends with your mind. And a lot of people, when you're talking about addiction, or you're talking about substance abuse or alcoholism, and a lot of people are trying to escape from themselves, not just the scene. They don't want to be friends with their brain. So, you ultimately have to become confident enough that you accept yourself for who you are. You make friends with your mind, and you can get away and keep your truth the whole entire time. And if you can do that, you can be put into any situation and then come out of it unscathed, because you're going to be you when you come out of it, no matter what happens in that situation.
So you look like you're pretty fit. You're holding it down over there. Give me your daily, weekly vibe here. What are you doing to look so good?
Well, look, I've tried to stay in shape for a long time. It kind of started with just playing sports in high school and college. And then we were talking about this the other day, doing an interview in New York. We were on a press run, and they're like, well, what made you guys decide to be the muscular boy band? I mean, can you imagine? We all just walked in the room. We're like, well, we can't dance. We kind of all have a little bit of muscle. Maybe we should just lift more. None of us thought consciously did that. We were all just athletic guys. And then, once they were, the labels or the Team Magazine photographers, they were like, oh, put this tank top on or take your shirt off. It wasn't like we made that decision.
Stress and inflammation take a toll on your body and your wellness. Relax, restore, and rejuvenate at Panacea Luxury Spa Boutique. Book any service of $100 or more and enjoy 2 hours in our luxury amenities. Unwind in our Himalayan salt saunas. Recharge in our wet retreat space with a eucalyptus steam room, hot hydrotherapy pool, and cold plunge. Then drift into deep relaxation with our hanging loungers. What's your panacea? We'll help you find it.
Listen, nobody loves laundry day. But thanks to the Fluff, laundry is officially off your to-do list. Just schedule your pickup on the Fluff app, toss your dirty clothes in any bag you've got, and leave it on your front porch. The Fluff handles the rest, returning your laundry fresh, folded, and in our reusable vinyl bag in just 24 to 48 hours. Flat rate pricing means you stuff the bag full, and yes, pickup and delivery are totally free in Central Ohio. Use promo code Keri for 20% off your first order. P.S. Ask about our monthly subscription to keep life simple and your laundry done.
Who says you need a special occasion to feel like a celeb? I mean, stress is real. Life is busy. And your scalp? Yeah, it deserves some love too. That's where Headspace by Mia Santiago comes in. Treat yourself or someone who deserves it to a luxurious scalp treatment and a killer blowout or cut, because nothing says main character energy, honey, like a fresh style from celebrity stylist Mia and her team. And because we love a good deal, mention the Keri Croft Show and get 20% off your service or any gift card for somebody in your life that you love. Headspace by Mia Santiago, because great hair days shouldn't be rare.
But I've tried to stay in shape since then. I early on, I was suffering from some mental health problems, and it was based on my diet. I went to see a psychiatrist right when we got signed, and I've talked about this quite a bit. For some reason, I was depressed. We were about to come out with an album. It was probably the pressure of it and pressure from the label, and certainly wasn't healthy with the way I was eating. And I got on the keto or Atkins diet, which is a low carb diet. I immediately lost whatever fat I had, and I had some mental clarity there, and I've just stayed on that diet or a variation of it. So I'm on the keto diet. So it's mostly what I eat, but I like to get up very early in the morning. I like to be regimented with my stuff. And I get up early in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending. And I'll do some cardio in the morning, get a workout in. And that just sets the day mentally for me. Physically, that's a side effect of it, right? It gets my chemicals in my brain kind of set for the day. And I start then, and then I'll maybe do some cardio at night before I go to bed, just to kind of unwind a little bit. I meditate a little bit, 20 minutes a night before I go to bed or early in the morning, just to kind of get your brain, get the chaos out of the way early so you can be set and focused for the day. And all that stuff results in you looking a lot better and feeling a lot better.
Do you have like a space where you meditate, like a separate room, or what's your meditation look
Well, you
like?
see this room here, I have a cool house, but this is where I do everything. I do my music, I do my meditating in here, I do interviews, because they don't let me in the rest of I'm not allowed to, my family doesn't allow me out of this room. If I meander into the hallway, my kids and my wife are like, oh, what are you doing? Go back into your hole. So I've learned to do everything in this room. This is where I get it all done.
I love that. So you are keeping busy. So you guys you released a new album too, and you're doing this boy band symphony, which I need to hear more about this. I love that concept.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate you giving it the plug. Yeah, it's our first studio album in a long time. It's called Full Circle. We pulled the Taylor Swift and did our re-record so we could own our material. So the songs sound nearly exactly like they did when we recorded them, which was a challenge, but we went in there and really dissected them and really wanted to, we knew that the fans like them that way. So we wanted them to sound just like that. And then we have 5 new ones, which are really, really great. We're proud of. And, we're fortunate. Last week it debuted #1 on the pop charts on iTunes. I don't know, those charts fluctuate, but to be even after all these years, it's our first #1 album. We've had #2, #3. We've never had a #1 album, so we're proud of that. And that's out now. And then, the boy band symphony thing is something that I really wanted to do for a while. I did a boy band Christmas tour a couple of years ago, and then arranged with a friend of mine who is a conductor at a symphony, Old Holy Night, with an orchestra, and got with Eric Estrada, who was on that tour. Eric's from O-Town. And we were like, man, maybe we should do a whole tour with an orchestra with all the boy band songs and see what they sound like. So we connected with Chris, who's a dear friend of mine, Chris from NSYNC, Kirkpatrick from NSYNC. And we've been doing this boy band symphony thing, and it's been really, really well received. I mean, those songs with an orchestra and the orchestras we've been performing with sounds amazing.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great. So speaking of you guys being good friends, what was when you guys were all at your peak, like when you guys first hit the scene? So Backstreet Boys were like the thing, and then you guys pop up and they're like, oh shit, got some West Side Story shit going on. Like, how did the Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, and NSYNC, how'd you guys handle like being this trifecta of like hot testosterone boy band? Awesome.
Well, thank you. I guess. But anyway,
Wait, Kate, that you just got your social clip. You just got your social
hot
clip.
testosterone. I love it. No, so we started off, like I said, we wanted to be like Boys to Men. There were no boy bands. The only boy band we kind of heard of was back in the day was New Kids and was New Edition. And those groups were put together, and we were like, and you know what? They get knocked for being assembled and manufactured. So we didn't want to be associated with anything like that. We wanted to be a vocal group that was inspired by, 4-part harmony, like Boys to Men and all that stuff, and groups like that. So when we came onto the scene at the same time Backstreet was breaking, and we didn't consider ourselves in the same genre at all. The difference was their label put them on stuff and our label took us off stuff. They wanted people to think we were an urban group. So they didn't promote us. They want people to think we were a black group. And so what happened with that is, urban radio, people in that genre, they didn't like that the label was trying to fool us. They thought we were trying to pull a fast one. And here we were just doing what the label told us: go show up and sing, right? And so that didn't work. And meanwhile, we watched Backstreet Boys just skyrocket through the plant, through the atmosphere. We were literally going into music stores and seeing these displays that pretty much were an entire storefront of the Backstreet Boys. And then we'd have to go fishing through the bins and find our CD, one, if it was there, and buy it ourselves, and we were wondering what was going on with all that. And then, ultimately our first album was not a success, and we just went up into Canada and started doing Renegade promotion, and then went to Europe and started promoting there in Southeast Asia. And we met NSYNC there, and we became fast friends with those guys. And we also were like, man, if these guys come into the States, it's a wrap. I mean, these guys are amazing. They sing, they dance, and, Backstreet Boys also super talented, but we hadn't considered ourselves in that genre. And so both of those guys actually exploded before us in the US, both of those groups. And, we ended up getting a new label head at Motown. George Jackson came in. He was amazing to us. They pretty much gutted the entire roster. They fired Andre Harrell, who was president of Motown, who signed us. And George just kept us. And he was like, well, look, we have our own version of Backstreet and NSYNC. Maybe we should put them on television and put them on teen magazines. And so once that happened, we were considered this trifecta, although we resisted it. We were like, no, they dance. And we were trying to be too cool. But as far as the groups are concerned, we always had a mutual respect for everybody. We would do stuff at the same radio shows as those guys. Ultimately, we're on some of the same, big packages and bills as those guys. And we loved them. I mean, we were friends with all those guys. The media wanted to sort of pit everybody against each other, but ultimately, we became very, very good friends. And now we all kind of mix and match and do different projects together. I've done stuff with Chris and AJ and now Chris and Eric, and we've toured together with O-Town, and we were supposed to do a big show with Backstreet in Oklahoma City, but there was like a big hurricane, or no, there was like a tornado or something like that, which canceled the show. But we all have a ton of respect for each other.
Hypothetical. Okay. And
Sure.
I don't want to hear a bunch of don't give me a bunch of runaround and try to be political.
All
Okay.
right, I got you.
You have a little van, little Sprinter van we're going to give you. You get to travel across country. Okay. Nonstop. You can stop to pee and get some snacks at the Speedway or something, but you can only bring 3 other people with you. You can only pick one from 98 Degrees.
Oh my!
So
gosh.
you have to choose the most perfect road trip right now with members from either Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and 98 Degrees. And you have 20 seconds.
I
to
can't
answer.
just pick one of my members from my group. You're going to get me in trouble.
Well, there has to be okay. How about this? Is one better with directions? Is one more laid back? It doesn't mean, because I'm going to ask you another hypothetical. You may include somebody else in on that one.
All right, so I have 3 people to pick from.
Yep, and you have to
Okay.
choose from the other groups too.
Okay,
What would make the best well-rounded experience?
I would take AJ from Backstreet, because I've worked with him before. He's a ton of fun. Although Nick's really cool too, but AJ I spent more time with. So I'll take AJ from Backstreet. He's awesome. And then I take Chris from NSYNC. Love the guy. He's one of my best friends in the world. So that part's easy. Choosing one from my group is really tough. I mean, my goodness. I mean, Nick's best with directions. Drew's best with organization, and Justin's the most laid back. So Justin and I were always rooming together and always, got stuck together on stuff. So I'll take Justin with me, because I know him the most.
You're going to start an empire.
Okay.
Okay. You're going to start some fucking amazing, hybrid. You're going to go into AI and be like, AI, what's this amazing empire I can start? Spit it out. You can only pick 2 people from any of those 3. I don't care if you pick 0 from your band. You can pick all of them from your band. Who would be, if you had to put a flag in the ground, who would you start an empire with today?
And I have to pick someone from my group? I can only pick 2?
No, you can
Okay.
pick whomever is going to get you to the promised land.
An empire. Wow. As far as boy band guys go, that's a tough one. I would take, to start an empire, I'll take Nick along with me on that one from my group. And
Situation?
yeah, He
Dude.
does he's been
No,
very
that's
successful
genius.
outside of the group.
Genius.
So I'll take him with me, and then I probably would take Howie. I'll take Howie from Backstreet. Howie's supposed to be a big entrepreneur in the real estate space and a good businessman. So I'll take Howie and Nick from my group.
Okay, finally, my last hypothetical. Chippendales were so just over the moon with your, previous interaction with them that they have offered you guys too much money to say no, to actually be the Chippendales, okay? And there can only be 4 of you. Who
All right, are you talking from the boy bands?
But you guys are the Chippendale. You are the guys with the ties and the banana hammocks. So it's you and 3 other guys. And you can pick up any 3, any who's going to make this the most successful.
All right. I for Chippendales, I would take AJ again because he can dance and he's a great performer. I would take Nick because he's still jacked from my group. I'll take Nick. He's in good shape. Gotta have muscles a little bit. And then, for comic relief, because he's got a ton of personality, I would bring Joey Fatone in. That would be my dream team of the boy band version of Chippendales. These, by the way, these guys are all just gonna love me after this interview. That's
well,
amazing.
you know what? The truth is what it is. Don't hate the player, hate the game,
They
guys.
don't care. They don't
Okay,
care.
back to Boys to Men. What is if you had to pick your favorite, and don't overthink this, but like the favorite Boys to Men song that comes to mind right now, because I've got mine, and it's now playing on repeat in my head.
Man, I love so many. So I'll probably say On Bended Knee, but it can change at any time. I mean, I love all their songs. I'm a massive Boys to Men fan.
But when they
What's
go
yours?
10, 9, 8,
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
fucking
we
love
did
that.
a medley. That's what got us signed. So we
That
did a
is so
Boys to
good.
Men medley, and it started with that countdown, and we did a little bit of and then did I'll Make Love to You, End of the Road. That's what we did. That's how we got signed.
And I was just watching, I stumbled upon your little, what did you guys, you were singing, God, it's the She's Out of My Life.
Oh yeah, we love that.
Oh no, I love, that is one of my, that song probably is my favorite Michael Jackson song, that and maybe like Human Nature. But wow, you guys sounded like
Cute.
little angels.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love Mike. We all love Michael Jackson too. I'm a big, huge Michael Jackson fan. And we did that song and it was on our demo tape. It was originally on our demo tapes and it was arranged by this guy named Devin Bier who went to school with the other guys. This guy just came. We wanted to do it. We wanted to put something different and unique on the demo tape because it was a tape. You remember tapes? You know what a tape is? A tape, it goes into a cassette. It's called a cassette. All right.
Hey, remember the pencil?
Yeah.
Remember the pencil you put
that's what
in
we
the
had to do. After we listened to the demo too much, we had to fix it, wind the tape back in. But that was on our demo, and Devin did a great arrangement, and they loved it. We sang that one live too.
What a song. And it cuts like a knife.
Keep singing it. Let me hear the end.
It's so, she's out of my life. So good. I remember being like, God, how old was I? I was young, but I remember it brought me to tears when I was like a little kid.
Yeah. I mean, he cries at the end. He sounds like he's
I know.
crying.
It's so crazy. It's the best.
I wasn't about to cry on the demo. I don't
you
think.
probably
I
cried.
think if
Have you ever-
I cried when I was trying to learn the arrangement.
Yeah, for
I
other
was like,
reasons.
damn, we're never
Have you-
gonna get this shit. It's too high.
Are you a crier?
Yeah. Oh, I'm an emotional guy, of course. Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of emotion. I mean, I'm a person that likes to be alive.
So how'd you get hooked up with Brad Lee?
There's a friend of mine named Richard Dolan who does a lot of stuff. I don't know if you know Richard. I first ran into him during this, the NFT craze, right before COVID. It was all the blockchain stuff. I don't know who connected me with him, but he was like, he wanted me. He was working with Bronze Studios, so he was talking about me doing some music supervision for that. Long story short, he hit me up out of the blue. He's like, you gotta meet my guy Brad Leah and do his podcast. So I went in and met Brad and did that.
Oh, you met him all right.
He's a character.
So I pressed on. So I have a love-hate relationship with him. He has no idea who I am.
Okay.
But somehow, some way, I was getting served up his content. And he is the only, I never comment. I am not somebody to ever, and if I ever comment, it's positive.
Yeah.
He pissed me off for the last time. I'm like, this guy with women. And so I remember one day I was like, you fucking son of a bitch. And I sent it. And I was like, God, this guy gets to me. Well, then when I was researching for you, I'm like, wait, this is the guy? So I start watching this interview because I'm like, I didn't realize that Brad Lee was just doing, maybe this was like a one-off because of your relationship. But I just have one question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Did he have an extra chair there and microphone for his ego?
I thought he was great.
Yeah, I know.
In the beginning, I didn't know what to expect, honestly, because, a lot of times I don't really like, I'm the opposite. If I'm having a meeting with somebody for business, I will Google stalk them, learn everything about them, right? So I have a background on the person I'm meeting. I want to let them know that I know them. But when it comes to the podcast, I don't like to look at what people do in advance. So the questions can be answered more naturally, and I don't want to be prepared for it. So with him, I didn't prepare for it at all. And I went in, he had a really nice place. And in the beginning there, it was all about, how you touched upon the groupies. He was really trying to get me into this groupie thing, which is kind of the low-hanging fruit, which is, like I said, it's actually boring to talk about. You want me to go into my entire Rolodex and resume of groupies, it's going to get pretty redundant, right? So he was really kind of angling on that. But after about 20 minutes of that, we started to talk about a little more in-depth stuff. His show is called Dropping Bombs. So if you ultimately give him a kernel of knowledge or something that's profound, he'll hit the dropping bomb sound. So he started doing that. We were getting into a little more things that were in depth, but it didn't start that way. I actually found him an interesting guy, and I enjoyed the podcast. But look, we've encountered every type of person. People trying to get us on gotcha stuff still, and we know how to handle that. And I know that's people's gimmicks and stuff like that. But I found him to, believe it or not to dispel your preconceived ideas about him. I ended up enjoying the podcast.
My goal is to be in like a street fight somehow with him in some way.
He's a pretty big guy. He's in shape too. He's in pretty good shape. That doesn't mean you can fight though. You look like you're a pretty big scrapper over there.
I'm
especially with that savage hat on. You can't wear a savage hat without being savage.
Brad Lee, he needs to keep his head on a swivel around me. Keep his head on.
Yeah, but I do see his. I follow him now, so I see his content, the cartoons, and all the stuff about women. It actually cracks me up. You know what I mean? I know it's a niche.
And I also am not. I'm not some hardcore feminist, like can't take it. I mean, I find a lot of things like the whole be a man stuff. Like I think some of that shit, him on the other hand, he tips it a little bit over to like the male chauvinist side where it's a little too real. And so that's where I was like, I started trolling his ass.
Well, look, because that's a niche now. It's always been a niche, but because of all the Me Too stuff and how far left everything went, that there are these guys that are trying to identify themselves as masculine, and so they look at these guys who are way on the other side of it, and they kind of identify with that, or at least they're trying to identify with that, as opposed to them kind of just figuring out who they are. That's why he's got a massive following. It's like that Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers stuff. I mean, that's the same kind of, and I don't want to insult him by saying he's that hyper masculine, because I didn't get that from him. But his content is edgy.
Let's not worry about hurting that guy's feelings. He's fine. He's fine.
Being honest about it.
So let me. You're coming to Columbus on the 14th of June. How long do you guys stay around? Like, how long are you here?
Well, we're coming in a day early because we're doing some local press there. Traditionally, we come in and do the show because all three of us have pretty crazy schedules. So we're going in a day early, doing some local media there, promoting the show, and then we have the show the next day, and then we're out. But Chris's wife is from there, so she's a big Ohio State. So I don't know whether he's sticking around or not. I know that my wife is talking about coming in with a couple of my kids, so I don't know how long I'm going to stay. My schedule's not that. I think I might have something after that. But
I was really hoping to get you guys in here because the studio's so cool and it's such a great, especially to do like social clips and promo and all of that. And I just didn't know if you guys had any time to stop by here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put I'll let them know that you want us there. I'll put it in the group email. See what they say.
I mean, I've got a really good community here. I feel like it'd be worth your time. And I just think it'd be cool and fun. And there's nothing like this in the Midwest. Truly, this is more of something you would see in the big city. So it's cool when I have people like you stop in.
Oh my gosh, we would love it. Yeah, I mean, if they
know?
don't have us too crazy booked already, I'm sure the guys we're gonna be there. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it'll be fun. It's
yeah.
it's like right in Grandview in a really cool spot. I'm gonna send you 2 hats. Okay, shoot. Okay.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, you're in Vegas.
Yeah. I don't live in LA. Hell no.
Do you like Vegas? Living in Vegas?
I love it. Love it.
Even in the summer when it gets real hot, what do you do?
Go in an air-conditioned car, go in a restaurant, stay in my house, go in the pool.
But it's
it's
kind
not
of
like I'm crawling in a desert. In the heat.
Well, no, but isn't it kind of like winter here where you really are? It's like really hard to be outside. No, it's not.
Look,
It's
I'm
better.
from Ohio. The heat
Yeah.
there at 80 degrees with the humidity
It's worse.
50 times worse than the dry heat here. I remember playing football in that heat in the pads
Okay.
2 days. It was crazy. So. Yeah, but I love it here. I don't leave my house.
Well,
though.
I've really
I don't go down to the strip. I don't do any of that shit. I stay in my house.
Well, I figure, yeah, you wouldn't go down to the strip unless you had to, I would think.
No.
Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. You were great. I appreciate you taking the time. You got a great vibe, and certainly we'll talk to the guys, see if we can come back in there when we're in town.
Yeah, just send me a DM or something. It would be really cool. If not, no worries, but I would love to
Yeah.
see you in person. Well,
Yeah, I
Jeff, thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much. I
appreciate
you.
it. Continued
Yeah.
success. Thanks,
Yeah,
Keri.
you too. Okay, stay in touch.
Hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks.
I would love it.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Circle.